This is TWiT.
Well, let me start with you, Jason, since you're actually an avatar and probably aren't going to last too
No, I don't
long.
think so. I don't think so. One segment only, unless I'm visiting my mom, in which case this may be what you get from now on. And when I'm traveling, I don't know.
You
We'll see. I can't attach my good microphone to it, so
you sound fine.
Also, like Doctor Strange, it's hard to maintain your corporal presence on this mortal plane. So you could fade out at any moment.
Yeah, he's gonna.
One thing you don't know about this that's actually interesting is the camera angle is based on where the window is, the zoom window. So if I move the window, it's like there's a crane shot is going on, which is pretty wild. Although the background doesn't move, so note to zoom. You gotta work on that one. But it is everything that I expected it to be, which is uncanny and yet also kind of amazing that with a quick capture, you're a character in a 3D, like a Grand Theft Auto or something like that. Like the tech is pretty amazing, but at the same time, it's also a little weird. When you're in a FaceTime with somebody else who's wearing one of these things, the context, it's actually, it all kind of starts to feel a little bit better because you hear their voice and you're in the context of it. But there's no doubt I would not call my mom with my digital persona. That would be weird.
There's a couple of things. You look a little bit like Bobby Hill from King of the Hill. You look a little bit like Tim Cook. You look like a thumb with your face painted on it. That's part of the problem.
Yeah. There's definitely a depth problem where I've been saying it's like a brick. Like there are ears back there, sort of, but really it's a face shape with your face put on the front of it.
Yeah.
Also, hair is a problem. When you see people who have short hair, they're kind of in there, and that's okay. But like Justine had her like hair down, and it's like, no, there's just sort of a charcoal smudge that doesn't really rotate correctly. And also, I've heard from a couple of people who say, I was so excited to get this working, I didn't bother to shave, I didn't bother to fix my hair, and now my avatar is stuck looking like I've just been awake all night waiting for the sign for my package.
Change. You could do a new avatar. Actually, Mike,
to be fair, it's not stuck. In fact, that's I think one of the brilliant things about this is if you're somebody who, whether it's your haircut or getting or primping or putting on makeup or whatever, you do your capture then, and then that's your face until you want to recapture it. You can't save more than one, but that gives you the ability to sort of like be locked in as whoever you want to be, and then don't take a shower before you're on a podcast.
I was reading earlier before the show, and I'll refer back to it, to ZJ Kingsley on Reddit, who said Apple has mismarketed the Vision Pro, and reviewers have as a result mistakenly focused, for instance, on this avatar thing. He said this is not what it's all about, and I think maybe some people who have it agree. He says the killer use for him is lying in bed in a VR environment, looking at the stars in crystal clear clarity, a small window open, talking to a friend via messages, and just beyond that, mounted in the sky, a 100-foot wide screen, which had the social network running in simply the clearest quality I've ever seen outside of 1570 IMAX. I think everybody who has this might have a different killer app. But what is your experience of watching movies? Is it crystal clear? Does it look?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's really clear. It's I was kind of amazed.
It's 4K,
we lost
right?
Power. Yeah, it is, and we lost power on Sunday, and of course I have a UPS for my router, so I still had internet. I just didn't have any lights, and so my retreat was to sit on the couch and put Superman, Man of Steel up and just watch it until the power came back.
How big did you make it?
It probably would have been the equivalent of about 150 inches or maybe 200 inches.
Like a theater, like then? Like seeing it in a movie?
It's like a theater. It's 100%. Like I would worry if I was a theater looking at this because and I also would say that I would, over the weekend, I got to the point where if I want to hang out with my family, which, we watch a bunch of shows together. And so that's still, but that's the only time we really all sit down around a TV is when we want to watch a show together, and we kind of, that's kind of an evening thing to do. Obviously I'm going to still do that with them. But if I don't think I would ever again sit down to watch, once YouTube TV, which isn't out yet, for the
YouTube
headset.
says it's on their
YouTube.
roadmap, by the way, which is
Well,
good
YouTube
news.
TV is not. Yeah.
Oh, not YouTube
been.
TV. YouTube is. Yeah.
It asks you to put in a number, but there's no like where do I find that number? It says your device will share this number, and I'm like, I don't know where that would be.
Yeah.
So it's not there yet. But as soon as YouTube TV comes on, I don't see myself ever sitting in front of my TV again to just watch a show, unless I was eating. Like if I was eating, I don't think I eat with a headset on. But if I was like, but I think that I very quickly was like, this is a much better experience. I do notice that there's a lot of things that are different on the headset for viewing things, though. One is that you're just constantly reminded that 24 is really framey, and that because everything else around it is not, it actually is more apparent that the framiness of 24p is probably these headsets may undermine that. Because
you want a higher frame rate if you're watching on these headsets.
The problem is you have an environment right behind it that's moving. So it took me a little while to figure out why it was so much more apparent on the headset than it is when I watch a TV, the wall doesn't move right behind me. When I watch, and the wall behind it, the environment behind it is working at 90 frames a second or 92 frames a second or whatever. So the background is at a high frame rate. And because of that, there's something about it that you notice really quickly, because there's not a wall there, that the frame rate is low. And so I think that it became much more apparent to me than I had before. I also found
it doesn't match your experience. Although honestly, when you're watching a 24p movie anywhere in real world, you have a much higher frame rate in the real world, don't you?
Right, but you have a frame, but you have a frozen wall. And there are some theaters like IMAX and Max and a couple other ones and Apple have their own theaters. The problem with the theaters, ironically, is that the screen in the virtual theater is too small. Like it's not as big.
Oh,
as
you can't make it as big
because it says, "Oh, this is the frame I'm going to put it in."
Right.
And I couldn't get it to go bigger. Like it locks into the frame that it.
Disney.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Disney lets you sit in the front row if you choose the Disney Plus theater, but that's it.
Yeah, and I haven't been in Disney yet because, of course, Disney required a login, and I don't know what it is, and I was like, I'll get around to it eventually. And so
you don't have Bitwarden or 1Password in there.
Well, here's the 1Password for the iPad can be installed on it, and it will autofill your passwords. It's with Optic ID.
Nice.
It's actually kind of remarkable. This device is an iPad, right? It's like a 3D iPad, but the good news is if your apps work on the iPad, then you can get them if they are on the Vision Pro. You can put them in there, and they all interact and they all work. And I agree with Alex. I was using a Vision OS exclusive app called Juno, which is a YouTube client because YouTube isn't there yet. And it is the quality of a standard 2D image when you're not confused by like, oh, it's 3D or whatever. It's really good. It's remarkably good as just a video viewer.
Here's one of our Discorders, Vision Mad, who's watching right now while eating his cereal. But honestly, how is that different than having a TV in your kitchen? I don't.
Except when you walk around and you can move.
Oh yeah, you move and the TV follows you. It's
okay. And the other thing is you constantly are moving the window. I found myself constantly moving windows. So I'm constantly, I want to put this over here. I want to put this over here. I want to put this over here. And like I was watching that, I had a client that was texting me on Sunday while I was watching the movie, and I just simply put my messages up above the screen. And so if I saw them change, I looked up and as I said, I want to say something, the movie got quieter. And I said what I needed to say in the text, and then I went back to what I was doing.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah.
And so I just didn't really think much of it. It was totally in that environment.
Natural.
And,
that's one thing Apple's very good at, is kind of making those affordances feel natural, even if you're in a spatial computing environment that you've never experienced before.
I will admit that I think the thing that frightened me the most about the headset was actually that thing, which was that there was a moment last night, and it was probably 10 or 12 or 15 hours into using the headset, and not in one day, just since Friday morning. I had been in it, and I suddenly I was watching YouTube, and there was some point where I looked down and I realized, I'm in the headset.
Wow!
I was just watching YouTube and just kind of like, because I have a lot of screens anyway, so it doesn't show like I have 8 screens around me, so a lot of screens doesn't really show up like I'm somewhere.
It's not so different from your
it's
normal.
It's not so different than my normal life. But I suddenly realized, I'm in the headset, and there was some point yesterday afternoon where I looked at something and I looked at it and I found myself tapping, and I was like, oh no, I'm not in the headset. And so like it was like
I've heard people say that. Yeah,
that you
just like with the iPad, you get used to pinching and zooming, and then you start using a Mac and
I tap my laptop screen all the time. Like I just tap. app. Like, why isn't this working? So
Ray, what do you?
My lower brain was getting.
What's your killer app so far, Ray Maxwell?
Well, I have bad news. We really should start with my experience of buying it from Canada.
Yeah, so this is the first part. Is I didn't even know you could use it in Canada.
Well, you can, and then you cannot.
Yeah, exactly.
You could, okay, on the January 19th at 5 a.m. in the morning, I signed on, and no sweat. Oh, there's Ray Maxwell. Yes, we'll take your $3,500 plus accessories, $4,800 with taxes, U.S. when I'm all done. And no sweat. Yeah, place an order. And then I went down to the Alderwood Mall Apple Store in Linwood, Washington. Walked in.
You're buying in the U.S. then, so you went over the border.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Apple has to understand that 90% of the population of Canada lives within 200 miles of the border.
Right. It's not unusual to go. Yeah.
We cross-border shop all the time.
Right.
Okay. And they really haven't allowed for that. But at any rate, I go in. Oh, yeah, we have your order ready for you. They do the demo. I had not a good experience there. The poor girl, I think she was an extra brought in because there's so many people in the store. And by the way, they were going out like hotcakes, the VPs. At any rate, it took her 20 minutes to get the demo to work. And by the way,
that's fun.
When they fit. When they fit you out, they do not fit your unit to you. They fit the demo unit to you and check all the settings and everything. Oh,
because the demo's on that unit. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they bring you in sealed cartons your unit,
that
and
makes
you
sense.
exit with you exit with sealed cartons.
Yeah.
Now, I said to the manager of the store, very nice fellow, very helpful. I said, now I have a Canadian Apple ID. When I get back to Canada and sign on, how's everything going to work? Oh, no sweat. Now, I'm going to switch to my view here. This is my view, and I'm going to take us to Haka'awea or whatever that is. And right. And now I get home, and here's my view, and I'm all excited. I can, my microphone's too close to me. Now, at any rate, I can open up Safari, and here's Safari, and I can bring in 3D models, and it's all exciting. And then the message from hell.
Ooh.
What does it say?
Not available?
Not available. The App Store isn't available in your country.
Oh, you can't
region.
even get into the App Store at all.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's frustrating. So you couldn't add apps to this at all. How are we talking to you right now? Oh, I get it. You're on Zoom on your computer and you're airplaying the view, or you have another device that you're putting the view in and switching over to.
I have coupled my VP to my iPad Pro, and it is plugged in by HDMI to my ATEM Mini.
I see it, yeah. So what can you do? Can you watch a movie?
Yes. All the movies I bought here in Canada, I can watch.
Oh, okay.
In 4K.
I mean, honestly, they don't say it's available in Canada, so you're an example of an early adopter who was willing to take the chance. But they aren't selling it in Canada.
No.
Okay. By the way, Jason Snell had to give up. He's switching over. He couldn't take it.
That's the face I love.
So let's see. 16 minutes in, and why are we not seeing him? I see him in the. We got to reroute. Okay, we're just gonna reroute it, and now we want to hear him too. There. Oh. You don't look like Tim Cook anymore.
Good morning.
Hi. Yeah.
Those hands.
You don't look like Bobby anymore. Hey, it's Leo Laporte. If you enjoyed this little snippet of our programming, make sure you check out the full MacBreak Weekly. The link is right down there.